It's the Sumo Show, the podcast that discusses everything that's going on in Japanese Grand Sumo. Whether you've been steeped in sumo lore since the Heisei era, like me, Stan, or you're a dedicated fan who wants to get deeper into what's happening on and off the dojo, or you're relatively new to the world of sumo and just want to learn what it's all about, like our friend Troy, no matter how much you know about the sport, the Sumo Show has something for you. So let's throw some purifying salt into the ring, do a few big Shiko foot stomps, and see what's new on this week's episode of the Sumo Show. So, konnichiwa, everyone, and Okairi. Welcome back to my co-host Troy.
Well, hello, Stan.
Hello, Troy. How are you?
You know, I'm fair to middling.
All right. Well, that's a start.
Yeah. I mean, it's not bad. It's not. Well, I will say this in the context of the Sumo Show. You see before you an evolving human.
You're learning.
I'm learning. I'm trying. It's a different world when you don't necessarily have a stand there to kind of guide you through the stuff, because there's so many remarkable things that happen.
So wait,
Yes.
I understand what you're talking about. The people listening may not.
That's true.
Right. So in the past, usually, in fact, I believe every other time we've done the show, you have shown up here not having watched pretty much any of it, and I've curated it and given you little bites of it. And,
that's right.
Because of the way we're doing the show now, with our changes that we're making, you have been watching the daily videos that I post to our Facebook group.
Absolutely.
So you have watched all of the matches.
And it's like a fire hose of sumo. There's like I was saying, before Stan and I started, I was saying, it's like the only sense that I didn't overload was the sense of smell, because that was everything else was just like,
YouTube hasn't figured that out yet.
Yeah, but they're probably working on it. Some sort of, I think, a wire brain thing that they'll inject into your head to be able to smell everything.
Yeah.
But no, it was very interesting, and I found myself rabbit holing on a couple, especially like the first 3 days.
Yeah.
And then I was like, wait a minute, I gotta streamline this, because I've got to watch everything. And so I did a little refresher today as well. We'll see how spot on I am. But I highly recommend it to folks. If you happen to be like, I was going through our we have a little Facebook page for those who may not know, and it's the Sumo Show on Facebook. You do a little search and you'll find us. It is, I got a tremendous amount of friends from high school that are hanging out and watching, which I really appreciate. That's really kind of you, and good to see you. And I hope you're doing well and you look great and all that good stuff. You haven't aged a day, but also family. I got family who are hanging out, and my mom thinks you're a very nice gentleman, which is
got her fooled.
That's right. You can't believe him when he's off camera. He's just an absolute monster. That's right. But no. I mean, jokes aside, what you see is what you stand. And so yeah, it's what was I even talking about? I was talking about the remarkable number of people that are, what are we at right now? Want to say like 4,000 people?
Oh, really? 4,000? All right. Well, then I'd better comb my hair.
You best. But yeah, no, I want to thank everybody who, what you can do. Maybe you're wondering, like, what can I do to support these two gentlemen just goofing around and talking about sumo once a week-ish? What you can do is you can head over to YouTube and you can subscribe.
Yes.
And you can like videos. You can just go through and you don't even have to watch them, but the algorithm knows if you don't. But and if you're so inclined, you can share them.
Right.
Maybe you want
a comment.
That's right. You can leave a comment, or you can also, if you want a little extra credit, make a clip. Maybe there's a particularly poignant moment where we all get a little
A
misty-eyed,
little weepy.
a little weepy over the amazing sumo that we're watching. You can make a clip and share that via your own YouTubery. But regardless, subscribing is wonderful, and we appreciate it, and it really does help us out a lot. It does a lot to elevate us. We're working to get back to where we once belong.
Right. That's right, JoJo.
Good, very nice. I like that. We don't plan this stuff; it just happens naturally.
Yes, it's true.
Yeah,
We are that clever.
We are that clever. Much like sumo. So we're talking about day 1 through 6.
We're gonna So our shift, this is the first time we're doing a tournament like this. We're still figuring out what the show is going to be in the wake of our problems in the spring, and we're finding that what we were doing the previous couple of tournaments, where you and I were we sent out the link for videos to watch, and we were all ostensibly watching the videos on our own machines and trying to react to them simultaneously.
That's right.
It just wasn't. I mean, it was fun. I was still very much enjoying our conversation, but it really wasn't working out.
Yeah. It wasn't translating to a shared knowledge.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're now for this tournament, and I think probably, unless this goes terribly, which I don't think it will, I think we're going to commit to doing this at least this tournament in January.
Yeah.
We are. We're not watching anything. In fact, I've told Troy his homework is that he has to actually watch the matches ahead of time.
Yeah.
And I'm committing to every day, and I did this most of the time anyway, but every day show up relatively early in the day to make a post on Facebook with my little daily intro, little review of what happened yesterday, and the link to a video so everyone can watch. We're going with the Kintamiyama's videos. They're short. They're all under 15 minutes. You get all of the matches from the day in just 15 minutes. So it's not. Everyone should have time to be able to fit it in if they're interested in the sumo, right? I mean.
No, even if you're not interested, we demand.
Yes, we demand that you watch sumo, even if you don't care.
I mean, just really every moment, every minute of it, and then we want you to hold us accountable to those every minutes, and then debate us over on the Facebook page ad nauseum. So yeah.
But as you were saying, it's a little intense, right? So in those 15 minutes, you are getting, presuming everyone's healthy, you're getting 21 bouts. Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
So that's more than about a minute.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
I mean, you can stop and rewind and do it, but I think that's what you were saying. Is it really is kind of an intense experience to have that much sumo shown to you that quickly, and
it is. Yeah. And so forgive me, there may be days that I munge up together, and I've got my notes as well and stuff that sometimes I've made a note and I'm like, what was I talking about? You would often just like listening to me talk on the show. What the hell is Troy talking about? But that being said, I also, one of the things I love about this is that it makes the Fantasy Oyakata that we start at the beginning, like we have people, fill out at the beginning of the Basho. It's a nice thread all the way through that kind of helps still kind of guide and sort of direct things and gives us something to chat about. But I will tell you that I can't even remember what I put.
Well, luckily I've written it all down, and we'll be looking at that at the end of the show.
Hey, perfect. I love it. And so again, if you're over on Facebook or you are here now on watching us on YouTube, we're not going to do a direct broadcast to the group. We'll do instead an event that links you to YouTube. It's just better that way for all of us.
Yeah.
So know that. And then if you, maybe you take issue, maybe you take umbrage with that, then we can try to fix it. But, bringing everyone together in one space, I think is,
yes,
it's good. Yeah. Better.
And like you say, Facebook just keeps reinventing or inventing new problems
They really do. They really do, and it's kind of a pain in the butt.
So yeah, there you
Yeah.
go.
Well, there you go. Okay.
So we have ourselves a Kyushu Basho, the final tournament of the 2024 sumo season.
Mm-hmm.
Coming in, we've had Onosato won 2 of the last 3, and he's still. This is going to mark the end of his first full year in the top division, I think. See, this first full year in sumo. No, it's not his first full year in sumo, but I mean, it's crazy how new to the professional sport he is. He was of course, an amateur champion for quite a while, and very highly anticipated in the sport. But he's come in and he's an Ozeki now.
Yeah. You know what? The 9 Basho.
Yeah, that's right. 9 tournaments from the start. So this is his 10th tournament.
That's wild. It is like, yeah, he's breaking the record. I mean, and maintaining it. That's just really exciting.
So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna just kind of look at each day a little bit. I'm gonna pull up. Let's come over to the stand view here. There we go. So I'm using. So while we're using Kintamiyama's videos, we're using Nato Sumo's graphics.
We like it, yeah.
Because he does such a good job.
Yeah.
This is everyone in the tournament here. We've got, of course, Terunofuji is not fighting. We're hoping he'll be back in January. But these are our 42 people in the top division.
Mm-hmm.
People we are keeping an eye on in particular. We talked about last week, right? Hoshoryu. You were saying last week that you keep wanting him to do better.
Yeah.
And I was saying, well, it seems like we can count on him to get 10 or 11 wins, and unless everything goes his way, that's what he's going to do. Well, we'll have some views about that.
We'll have some feelings. True.
Onosato, of course, also Ozeki, now promoted to Ozeki, won the last tournament. We're hoping he can keep that up, right? Keep going like that. He could be our next Yokozuna. He is clearly got the inside track on it with the way he's performing and looking, and he's just going to get better, one would imagine, barring, knock on wood, barring injuries.
Yeah.
And we got Kotozakura there, our third Ozeki, who has not won a tournament ever and is really kind of wanting to.
Right.
So we've got our eyes on them. Who else we got here? Kirishima down in Sekiwake. If he gets 13 wins this tournament, he could get promoted back to Ozeki again. So that's on everyone's mind. And he came in making very public declarations that was his aim, and he was hoping to do that. We've got Shodai Komusumi, former Ozeki Shodai, having had a really miserable 3 years.
Run. Yeah.
But the last 2 tournaments, he's gotten 10 wins and has earned his way back up to a Komusubi slot. And so the question is, which Shodai is going to show up?
Right. Yeah.
Atami Fuji down there at Maegashira 3 is a guy we like. A young guy, came up, did very well for his first few tournaments, finished second place in a couple of them, and then kind of ran into that wall of, oh, everyone is as good as me. I don't quite know how to handle that.
Yeah.
And we keep hoping that he's going to get past that. And he's showing signs of it, but even last tournament, he had some stumbles.
Yeah.
And then down near the bottom of this list, the people that we were kind of talking about were Onokatsu, who is another very new to to professional sumo. He was Onosato's chief rival in the amateur sumo world, and now he's back in last tournament. He debuted here in the top division. and a bunch of us picked him as as our guy for the lower division in the Fantasy Oyakata game, and he went 7-8. He went Makekoshi. He did not come in and blow the wheels off everyone.
No,
I mean,
yeah,
he did okay. That's not nothing to sneeze at, right? He's also, I think, in his first year, certainly his first 2 years. No, his first year in professional sumo. So he's doing good. But a lot of there was some hope that he would mirror what Ono Sato had done and kind of rocket to the top.
right,
Um,
right.
Last tournament he did not. So we're hoping he'll do a little better this tournament. Got right below him there Takeru Fuji, who won the March tournament,
Hmm.
coming up in I think it was his second ever division tournament in the top division, and he just beat everyone. He just blew him away, and on the next to last day, he basically snapped his ankle in two. So
Yeah,
he he had to go back. He had a surgery, and he's been recovering. He's earned his way back up very quickly, and he's back now. So the question is, how is he going to do? And then the other two we're looking at are Shishi, who's Ukrainian
yes,
Rikshi, who's
yeah.
been coming up the ranks slowly with a lot of anticipation. Everyone looks at him the way he's built and the kind of sumo he does, and they've been expecting him uh, to make uh, big gains. And he kind of got stalled in Jurio for a year or so. He just couldn't put it together to earn his way up into the top division. Well, he's here now.
Yeah,
So
yeah. And
a
am I to
lot of
understand that he's the first Ukrainian
first
to?
Ukrainian ever to make the top division.
Yeah. So that is, I mean, given that he's a white guy and he's
Yeah.
there's a lot of people watching, and I will say this, I did expect there to be a little bit more of a chill in regards to him, but not. I didn't see that chill.
I
People
don't.
really.
Why did you think there was going to be a chill?
Just because of the nature of his, being the first Ukrainian, a white guy. Like I just presumed that there might
Yeah,
be a little less of an
I
excitement
think
about.
yeah. That doesn't. There are some people who take umbrage to non-Japanese,
Yeah, yeah,
but it's not. You wouldn't feel it like that. Like
not at all. Yeah,
no.
yeah. No, it's
Uh,
people are just as breathlessly excited about
yeah,
his contribution to
and
sumo
they get
as.
very excited about. I mean, that is something exotic about the
Yes,
people who come up, the Europeans and the Americans when they come in.
yeah, exciting
They
too.
often get a lot of very strong fans. Weirdly the only times that it comes up much is or it came up in the 90s was when they started doing a little too well, right? They wanted to do really well, but not too
Not
well.
so good. Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
And sumo struggled with that for a while, and that's you know uh, spilled over onto the Mongolians.
Yeah,
But now
yeah.
with the having had 25 years of the Mongolians basically dominating sumo, that
People
has
come to terms
changed
with it.
how
Yeah, yeah.
how people react to it too.
One of the other thing I really have enjoyed about you pick up the little facts and things as they're shared by the announcers and
Hmm.
such, and
Yes.
I discovered that Kyushu so where they're at is, as I understand it, Shodai's hometown.
Yes. Fukuoka is the city
Fukuoka.
they're in.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm looking for.
Kyushu
Um,
is the island.
got
It's
it.
one of the islands of Japan. It's the southernmost of the main islands.
Got you. Yeah, yeah, which was interesting. I will, without getting into too much detail. There are people. I can't believe that there's something about Shodai that is in source. Like he's
They love him.
pastel. They
They
love
love him.
him.
Well, I mean, yes, they do, and in the past we've talked about that, and you've kind of marveled at the how can that be, and then you see it, and you're like, well, they do.
They do. There's
He
just
is beloved.
no.
Well,
Yeah.
This is his hometown, so it's especially true
Yes.
here.
Which is
But
interesting because that's one of the things that you could actively kind of see sort of throughout the Basho, if people were deflated at any point in time. It was noticeable. Palpable, one might say.
yeah. But I mean, maybe we can talk about this another time too. The other thing about Shodai, one of the reasons people like him is he's built like you want a sumo wrestler to be built, and he's
Sure.
a good looking guy among the sumo wrestlers, right?
Oh,
He's a pretty good looking young
okay.
lad.
Okay.
So that's another. He's got that whole kind of when he's on and he has his swagger. That's great. It's when he doesn't, and that brings out his fish-like qualities.
That's Sebring like look. Yeah, yeah. No, I haven't witnessed the handsome side of Shodai yet, but perhaps I'm not looking deep enough.
All right. So
Yes, let's move on.
this is all we're half an hour in, man. We were only
I
on
know.
entering into day
Hey,
one.
listen,
This is just
you
the start
opened
of the
this
tournament.
Pandora's box.
Yeah, well, you know what? I'm glad. Maybe we'll have to start earlier and make this a 2 or 3 hour show. All right. So what we're
Don't
going to
tempt
do
me.
is we're not going to watch any videos, but I do have, besides where things stand at the beginning, I have this listing here that Nato puts together of the results of all the matches. This is what happened on day
Nice.
one. And so we can see who's doing what.
Yes.
In particular.
I
So
like this. Yeah, that's great. That's great.
day one, we see that Shodai lost in the Musubi no Ichiban, the final match of the day. He lost to Kotozakura, and didn't look very good doing it either.
No.
Hoshoryu came out and blew the doors off Oho. I don't know if you remember this.
Exciting. That was electrifying for me.
Yeah.
He looks sharp. Like
Right.
there's something he's done. He if he was looking blurry in the last boss show, in this one, something he's there and
Well,
start really.
the last 4 tournaments, he lost on day one.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And his whole it took him out of the immediate running, and he lost again in the middle of week 1, and he was never really in the mix in the yusho race. And he generally, like I say, finished with 10 wins or more. Last tournament, he had a really bad tournament, but in general, he's good for 10 or 11 wins, which is what you want from an Ozeki. But you also, on top of that, want them to be in the hunt for the yusho. They want them to be among the leaders, and he just hasn't been.
Yeah.
But on day one against Oho, he came out sharp, looking good.
It was the one moment of a couple moments where I've said, "Oh shoot, I should have picked him."
Well, you picked him in the past, and he's let you down.
He has. So he was in the timeout. But
But see, the other thing that happened here is all 3 of our Ozeki won on day one.
That's
Kotozakura,
right.
Hoshoryu, and Onosato, which also is something that shouldn't be a big deal.
But in this time,
Hoshoryu having lost on opening day the last 4 tournaments, it also the other Ozeki have lost within the first few days. We've had them drop out of being among the undefeated very quickly. So it was nice to see them all win and win pretty convincingly.
Yes. And the other thing about this too is I feel like it lent a sort of stability to the Basho that you're like, okay, things feel like they're where they ought to be, as opposed to sort of what's going on at the top of the Basho.
I mentioned that in one of my write-ups this week that I don't want to get too far ahead here looking at it, but all 3 of them are having pretty good bashos, and it changes the tenor, just the feeling of it, right? It doesn't really change much, but having your top name guys be out in front showing their stuff,
performing at top. Yeah, absolutely. And I will say too that it was really great to see. I just Hoshoryu, whatever he did between the last Basho and this to prepare, he looks just like he just looks reinvented.
Let's see what else. So day one, interesting. I'll go back to the beginning, down to these are numbered in the order that they happened on the schedule.
Yeah.
So we look at match 3 was Shishi and Toki Hayate, two people making top division debuts.
Yeah.
Right? No, Toki. No, it's not right. I thought it was.
Are you looking at?
No, I'm looking at the wrong thing.
Okay.
This is Shishi's top division debut, though he got to fight once last tournament as a guest, a jury.
Yeah, right. That's when we were like, "Who is this person?" Yeah.
But that doesn't count as being, that's part of his Jurio record, not part of his top division record.
Yeah.
So this is his debut top division bout.
Yeah.
And Toki Hayate is a guy who's another one who the sumo pundits have been looking at and expecting really big things from.
Yeah.
This is his second tournament. He was there last tournament and didn't have a great tournament in the same way that Onokatsu didn't. But they're both still there, and the expectation is for him to do better. But there's kind of a spotlight on that match number 3 because of Shishi and Toki Hayate. Yeah,
it was a good one. Was Asakoryu is that the short guy?
Asakoryu is, wait, I'm sorry. What
is he? Is that the little guy? He's a short.
He's relatively small. Yeah.
Yeah. It was the one moment I do recall where he's. I did a little kind of a rabbit hole on him, and he said, I'm just gonna keep charging. That's the way. That's my sumo, and just see it. Yeah, against Takara Fuji did not.
That was another that first match. Asakoryu is as you say, he's a guy people have had their eye on. He's made it up. He's another one of those small rikishi that's very exciting to watch.
Yeah, and really, really great moves and doing some stuff that he was standing his own against some pretty big contenders, but it was a bummer to see his I am this kind of sumo wrestler, to see that be thwarted was kind of a rough start.
And he was fighting against Takeru Fuji, who we were saying is back for the first time fighting in the top division since March when he won the tournament.
Yeah.
And so I was very interested to see how he was doing. And he came out on that day 1, and it was a really good match, which, is good for Asakoryu, and kind of hoping people who were really rooting for Takeru Fuji that he'd come up and just blow everyone away. And although he won that day 1 match, he didn't blow Asakoryu. Wow, I'm having trouble with that one.
You sound like me.
I do not.
I like you much worse.
But he won. So that means that this is where things looked at the end of day 1 going into day 2. As it's going to be every tournament, 50-50.
Yeah.
You either won or you lost. But we see here Kirishima lost on day 1.
Yeah.
And he lost to Wakataka Kage.
Which was expected, right? I mean,
it was a tough match. They've had a long history of fighting each other closely, and Wakataka Kage is also back. He's reaching the end of his journey back after a bad knee injury.
Yeah, which is exciting. I mean, and he's performed, and it's very much a redemption story, which is very cool. I love it.
That was a marquee kind of matchup where there were a lot of people rooting for each of them. You kind of wanted them both to win,
right?
But Kirishima didn't. So there he is, unfortunately, at the 0-1. Shodai 0-1. Hiradomi, here go another guy who's very exciting to watch. Remember last tournament, you made a lot about how crazy and chaotic, and he just kind of goes all out.
Yes, yeah.
So that's how things looked going into day 2. Here's how things went on day 2. We'll look down here. Asakoryu lost his second.
Yeah.
Lost to King Bozan, who was visiting from Juryo. Now,
Yeah.
because Terunofuji is not fighting, we're going to have one Juryo wrestler brought up per day to even out the matches so that there will be 21 matches until such time as someone else gets injured. And that's how it works, right?
So
Even there
out.
are 42 people in the division, and if one person can't fight, they bring someone up from Juryo to replace them, so everyone has a match.
And then
But
will they do that for, like, let's say if someone else, like, if they go out of balance, or like, is
no,
there?
when it evens up, they just reduce the number. So if someone winds up getting injured or having to pull out, from that point on, there will be 20 matches a day.
I see. Okay.
But then if a third person pulls out, there will still be 20, and one of the Juryo people will come up to fill it. And
Right.
that's how that works.
Got it.
Yeah, but we see Shishi won his second match against
Yeah.
Uchozan.
Yeah.
He's looking very good. You know, the thing about Shishi, I find watching him is, I mean, he's really good, but he tends to just put his head down and bowl forward, and he very often will be seen there with this going like this with his head like he's looking at his toes. And when he's stronger than the person and bigger than the person he's fighting, that's good. And when he's more evenly matched, that's actually a disadvantage for him.
Yeah.
To have his head up and be reacting and anticipating. He's kind of got his plan and he's going for it.
You know what it kind of reminded me, watching him, it reminds me a little bit of, like, I don't know if I want to say a puppy or like but there's a certain
Yeah.
kind of, like, endearing big pod kind of, like, thing that he's doing that it's fun to watch, but also it leaves you kind of on the edge, because you're like, you can
Yeah.
see that he's, he just seems fresh and not quite grown into his
Yeah.
the size of his paws.
It's true. It's true. I wouldn't have phrased it that way, but I completely agree.
Yeah, yeah, it's an interesting. I was trying to find a way to sort of express that, but he just kind of, yeah, or I don't want to infantilize him, because I mean he's clearly he's
Right.
an athlete of the highest order, but it seems like he's got some limbs to learn how to
They
use.
also, I mean, they make a little bit of, I don't want to say they make fun, not in an abusive or a mean way, but there's a lot of commentary on the fact that his Japanese isn't very good.
Yeah. And you can see that too in interviews. I watched a couple where he
Yeah.
was talking, and you could tell that the response, like, the interviewer would ask a very simple question, but his answers would be even more simple. Like, it was just kind of very, you can tell he was just kind of reaching for those words. What could you possibly say? Like, how was your fight? It was great.
Yeah.
There are lots of fans up here.
Well, I mean, as we often comment on, sumo is a sport with a lot of cliches. Even
Yeah.
more than baseball, right? You ask a question and there's a cliche answer you're supposed to
Yeah.
give. And they're a little hard when it's not your native language.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that is true. That is one of the things that I did notice, and I guess I can understand it now. Before, I just thought he's not quite as flowery, or as sort of like, I hope to be the breeze on the water and the
Yeah.
sun as it hits the morning dew, or whatever. Like, generally speaking, there could be some real flowery responses, but nope, he was just kind of very,
Yeah.
very basic.
It's like there was sumo. I did my sumo.
I did sumo. People watched.
Yeah. Onokatsu also won his second match. He's now 2-0. Looking pretty good there. Going over here, I'm looking at my notes on the day, and I don't really have a lot. Kirishima and Ura. Kirishima always beats Ura. And he just seemed here at day 6, I have come to look back at this week and think that he feels to me like he's forgotten how to win. Right? It's not like he looks hurt. It's not like he looks clumsy. It's like he's fighting to tie, and then the other guy wins. He winds up overstepping, or the match goes on long enough that he makes some mistake.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what happened in the Ura match, right? Ura did not pull some crazy maneuver, which he does. He tries later in the week.
Oh yes, yes, yeah.
Kirishima just kind of toyed with him to the point where Ura, one of the things Kirishima did, I think he reached out too far, and Ura grabbed his arm and yanked him down.
That's right. Yeah, yeah. Was the move called the slap down? Is that, am I right?
Hitaki Komi is a slap down.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, Kirishima 0-2 there. Not looking good. Shodai also 0-2. And it's looking bad. His loss to Abi was a bad one.
Yeah. Yeah.
He started getting driven back and then locked himself in and drove forward, and Abi he just let him come and then stepped a little to the side, and Shodai kind of just went barreling out of the ring.
Yeah. It definitely looked like he was in a different fight, almost.
Yeah. So our hope of Shodai maybe coming in and looking strong again, and it's day 2. We're not too worried about what anyone does, but both Kirishima and Shodai are showing us their worst sides on the first couple of days.
Yeah.
We see also our 3 Ozeki all won on day 2.
Well, that's right. Yeah.
Kotozakura beat Hiradomi, Onosato beat Oho, and Hoshoryu beat Wakamoto Haru. And he also really just blew him away.
Are you talking about Hoshoryu?
Hoshoryu, yeah.
Oh, wow. He was just, I mean, I literally, again, was just lamenting repeatedly, like, why, shoot, I knew I should have, but didn't.
But he hasn't done this in a long time.
Yeah, he was on fire. And the fury, he just looked very intensely like he was ready to kick some butt.
Yeah, he has come out on days 1 and 2. He came out and just like a house on fire. Not fooling around, and he was just eating up his opponents.
Yeah.
And as usual, making some pretty spectacular moves to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, it was good. It was some very good sumo.
Let's see. So let's roll up here, and we'll see who else is 2-0. The 2-0s. There's still a bunch of them. All 3 of our Ozeki. God, I love seeing that. But no one else from the Sanyaku. Everyone else from Sanyaku has lost at least one.
Yeah.
And Wakatakakage there. 2-0. Atami Fuji 2-0.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about him a little earlier. He was having trouble when he was ranked at Komusubi and Maegashira 1, because that meant his very first matches were with the Ozeki to start it off.
Yeah.
Having dropped to Maegashira 3, he hasn't had to do that on the first couple of days. And that maybe that has something to do with the fact that he's doing a little better this tournament. But it's nice to see him start off 2-0.
And now this is my favorite.
Yeah, Tobizaru.
My boy.
Did you pick him?
I did not. No, I did not. But I have a soft spot in my heart for him.
Yes.
We love our flying monkey for sure.
We sure do. And Takanosho, who we talked about prior to the tournament, being in a good spot there at Maegashira 6. He had a terrible tournament last time, but it's dropped him into this spot where he should be able to dominate.
Yeah.
And 2-0, good dominating. And Onokatsu and Shishi, it's an interesting batch of 2-0s entering day 3. Here's what happened on day 3. So we'll start there. Asa Koryu got his first win.
Yeah.
Takeru Fuji went to 2-1. Onokatsu stayed perfect.
Yeah.
Look at that. Shonan
Sorry,
Naomi
Shishi. Yeah.
doing good.
Oh yeah, yeah, right, right.
Hokuto Fuji dropped to 1-2. You, you were saying in our chat this afternoon about you were looking at his photo and the
I was
video of him.
comparing his hairline. Yeah.
You're
I,
very
you're
worried
like
about his hairline.
you're like it's funny that you're worried about that, but I guess I want to see a modern. I don't want to see it. I worry for him if the hairline is somehow a measure of the time you have left in sumo. His is hanging on by a thread.
Well, I mean, the funny thing is, and this is because for those of you who don't know, if you no longer able to make a top knot from your hair, you have to retire.
Yeah.
You can't once you've got the top knot, you have to keep making it.
Yeah.
And there's some worry about male pattern baldness. However, there are some people, some guys who are in the very lower divisions and
Yeah.
and are 40 and 50 years old, who's have much more bald tops of their heads. You grow it long in the back, and you can make a.
I see.
So
I see.
I don't really think. I mean, it looks funny, and it's not really much of a top knot when you're doing that. You wind up with this little tail coming up over the top,
Yes. Yeah.
but it's good enough. So he's not really in danger uh, of being kicked out of sumo for male pattern baldness.
Yeah, I just get worried for him. I do. But
Yeah.
especially when you've got someone like Asakoryu whose hair is lush.
Oh,
Like
luscious.
he has just got, I mean, it's got a little fan in there. It's like it is the quintessential top knot. I mean, it is just like it's almost artistic. It's so well done on such a short little dude. But yeah, if you were to do the comparison, you'd be a little worried too if you really looked at it. No.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I also just wonder
if this was an anime, his hair would have its own sound effect.
Seriously, yeah, that's one thing I noticed that right out of the gate. I was just like, wow, that is quite an updo. But yeah.
Yeah. Who else? What other things are going on here on day 3? Wakamoto and Ura had a very good match.
Yeah.
Wakamoto Haru and Ura. Abi beat Kirishima.
Yeah.
God. Oh, Kirishima. 0-3, so we were saying that he needed, if he wanted to get his promotion, he had the outside chance of getting his re-promotion to Ozeki, but he needed to win 13 matches.
Yeah.
Well, with 3 losses, the most wins he can get now is 12. So that's day 3. That whole possibility that everyone was excited about out the window.
Just out the window. Yeah.
And now we're starting to worry about,
is he going to keep? Yeah.
When's he going to win? He's
right.
If he gets 10 or 11, he's still kind of on track to get it back, maybe in January, maybe in March.
But as you said, often like losing at the front end makes the back end much more tense.
Yeah. And particularly when you're high ranked like that, because he's a Sekiwake, which means his final 4 days of the tournament are going to be against the other Sekiwake, Daisho, and the 3 Ozeki. So that's 4 matches. His last 4 matches are going to be against them.
Yeah, pressure.
So if he's not already right on the verge of getting his Makikoshi, if he's not right there, he's going to have to beat the top guys, having put in 2 weeks of mediocre sumo.
Right. Yeah. Right? You can see it affects kind of the spirit of the the wrestler, and it's just that's a tough place to try to dominate from there.
Yeah, and that's why I mean why we say, there's a lot of days you don't have to get your wins in any order, but when you're ranked near the top, you can look at and know how tough your opponents are going to be at the end. And if you stick yourself in a position where you need to win your last 4 matches or 3 out of your last 4 matches,
Yeah.
and you're ranked in the middle or lower part of the division, you're like, all right, well, I've got a good shot. No one's that much better than me. But when
Yeah.
you're a Sekiwake and you know your last 4 matches are against the best the sport has to offer, you now put yourself in a
Real
really
pickle.
difficult spot.
That's right.
So 0-3 to start the tournament. Kirishima, who I thought I had picked him for my team.
Yeah.
I
can't
didn't,
remember.
but I think I did pick him to win the tournament.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought he was going to do great. So, but let's say 0-3 is not terrible. He could still finish with 12 wins
Yeah.
if he went crazy nuts, or and certainly double digits is well within the possibility if he starts winning.
Yeah. Yeah. If he starts winning, yeah. Interesting stuff. But this next one, wow, Hoshoryu was.
I'll show you. Yeah.
He came out. Someone insulted his mother or something.
Well, Hiradomi, if I remember correctly, Hiradomi has a pretty good record against him. I didn't make notes on what they were, but Hoshoryu came in and just shut him down.
Absolutely. Like, honestly, it looked almost as though he just summoned an energy and just shoved him right out of the ring. Like, yeah. He just.
I mean, and that was, we see some of the matches, particularly the ones we used to show when we could. We'd show some of the longer ones because that's where things get interesting.
Yeah.
But a lot of them are fast. Even compared to the fast ones, this was super fast. He just 1, 2, 3, and it was.
I watched it a couple times just because it was sort of like, what in the heck is going on here? But he just did not give Hiradomi an opportunity. He just thwarted him and just said goodbye.
Yeah. Which, again, I was watching this week and go, holy cats, this is the Hoshoryu of his press releases, right? This is
right.
2 years ago. We were hoping he was going to be as an Ozeki, and he just hasn't been. Again, he hasn't been bad, but he hasn't been this. So, I don't know. We'll see. There's a lot of tournament left. I would love it if he did this and was in the mix for, and maybe even won the Emperor's Cup, won the tournament. But then immediately the question is going to be, can he do it again?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And I tell you, I'm going through here. We hit day 3, and that was already in my mind. It's like, he is looking great. Can he do it again? Can he keep doing it for 15 days?
Yeah. Because at this point, it becomes a question of stamina and yeah.
Some of it's stamina, some of it's good breaks. But you have to be able to summon that in yourself and then hope for things to go your way.
Yeah.
Kotazakura, we're looking at one. He lost that match to Oho.
Yeah.
It's kind of a little sloppy. He didn't get beaten, but it is kind of in the same way I was talking about Kirishima earlier. He just didn't. He had a chance or two to win. He just didn't take it, and then suddenly he was on the wrong end of it.
Yeah.
So,
my brain was as far as this day goes was overtaken just by the Onosato showdown.
So that's our first Ozeki loss there. But then the Onosato and Shodai in the Musubi no Ichiban, that was a big question there, right? Onosato and Shodai, pretty similar physically.
Yeah,
right? And you kind of.
Were they? I'm trying to remember what their. I can't remember. Without looking at the the breakdown that we usually get with, but it was. I was very much looking forward to this.
And similarly to the Hoshoryu match, Onosato just it's Shodai hardly even showed up for that match.
No.
He had that same kind of
Hang dog.
walk after the end of it.
Yeah. No, I don't wish ill on Shodai, but I felt good about this. I just it was just sort of it was a palate cleanser for me.
It wasn't. I mean, those are the things that I hate it
Yeah.
because particularly when he shows up and looks good, you're like, yes, this is the Shodai. And then
Yeah.
when he doesn't, and he
I think it was here. This was the day when I really noticed the crowd took me by surprise, and I didn't know why they were so, they just they were not thrilled.
right.
But it's because, Shodai is this is his home.
He's the local boy.
That's right. That's right.
Local boy does mediocre.
And we give him all the garbage in the world, and and it's deserving because there's an expectation at people at his level that he will, do the thing and come and show up as a Rikishi and not as sort of a woe was me kind of dopey guy. But of course he's an athlete. He's doing the thing, and we acknowledge that. But also,
right,
what is he doing?
Yeah. I would say it's the squandered potential, right? He's got it in him to be the guy that we want him to be.
Yeah.
Just is so. I just want to.
It's a bummer. Yeah.
Come on, man.
Hey, though, can I also just say that Ura continues to be just even at losing, like there's just something about him. He's just
Ura and Tobizaru, both of whom lost on day 3. They finish, and even when they lost, they got a kind of a smile, and they kind of, that didn't work out, and they very
like
happy come back.
Right, and it seems very self-aware, but it's also charming, and both of those two are just the best, even when they're not.
All right, so this is how things look, and we see that I don't know if you remember, we were looking last time, the number of people who are undefeated kind of shrinking down quickly. The 2-1s, this is about the split we want, right? It's about 50-50. Half of them are 2-1 or better. Half of them are 1 and 2 or worse.
A balance. It seems like there's a balance.
Last time there were a lot more. There were a lot of 3-0s and not a lot of 2-1s.
Yeah.
And then a lot of O's, a lot of offers.
A lot of offers. I like that. Offers.
All right, so here we go. We're down to 7 going into day 4. 7 undefeated Rikishi. Ono Kaso's still there. Ichi Yamamoto doing very well. We're not talking about him because he's Ichi Yamamoto there at Maegashira 10. He's kind of. Did you notice anything about him watching these?
I will honestly say that he kind of went under my radar a little.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we talked previously, like your radar was limited to what I was showing you.
Yeah.
Now you're dealing with the fire hose, and there's still going to be things you just aren't going to see. So
and also just things I'm prepped to pay attention to, like Ono Santo, and Hoshoryu, like that. Those they really did kind of dominate the space, and then of course whatever I left out over for Shodai, and but
I don't. So it seems to me, my recollection of learning to watch sumo, learning to watch a lot of it, was that it's the middle matches that kind of I get lost in. I would get, by the time you get near the end of it, it's named guys who you're tracking, and it becomes more and more easy to remember and anticipate their matches. And it's the ones in the middle that are like, who's
it's a little mushy.
Who's Ryuden? Who is Shikanomi and Shioshoma? Right, they're for a while in the about 5 or 10 years ago. There were like 4 guys with the name Chio something, and I could not keep them separated in my mind.
Oh, sure.
It took me a long time to really solidly lock in on who they were, because they were middle of the pack guys who I think a couple of them were brothers. They were all from the same Heya, and it was just like okay, Chia something, Chia,
Yeah.
right?
Right. Yeah. No, I do. It does get a little mushy for me, but yeah. I would also find that I will watch, and then something will happen that I had never seen before, or that I was curious about, and then it will take me on another. And I will
Right.
forget who I was watching. But yeah. One thing I do miss is our commentary on. I wonder if we can get away with showing screenshots, because
Probably.
there's some characters in the crowd that drew my eye.
We do. You know what? That's one of the things I really do miss about not watching the videos, is being able to talk about our
The
people in
characters
the crowd.
watching this
Yeah,
show, yeah, watching the matches are
because
something
I'm
else.
still watching them and getting pulled into it too. But
Yeah, me too. Maybe what we'll do is we'll pick the spectator of the day or audience member of the show or something, because there's some characters on there.
you know what? You can start making some screenshots of that, and we can share those too.
I like that. We'll do that. Yeah, fun.
So yeah, who got Takanosho still undefeated, Atami Fuji still undefeated, Wakataka Kage, and two of our Ozeki, Onosato and Hoshoryu, going into day 4.
Yeah.
Who is winless? Who is winless? Kirishima is winless. Shodai is winless.
Oh, winless.
Hiradomi is
hard.
winless.
Yeah, that's just such a rough spot.
Yeah. So it's Komusubi and Maegashira 1, 2 hardest ranks in the sport.
Yeah.
And then we got Churanaumi. Nishikigi looks terrible.
Yeah.
He looks terrible. Nishiki Fuji doesn't look much better than that. And Bushozan has been lucky to stay in the top division the last few Basho. I think that at Maegashira 17 at 0-3, if he doesn't get something turned around fast, he's got his ticket punched for Juryo for 2025.
Yeah.
All right, so let's look. This is what happened on day 4. These are the matches from day 4. And we had Hakuoho, who is the student of the former Hakuho, who came on guns a-blazing and hurt his shoulder.
Yeah.
Had to get surgery, wound up hurting his other shoulder again and having to redo it. He's now in Juryo at I think he's Juryo 2 or 3. So he's getting close to earning a promotion back to the top division. He was the visiting Rikishi for
this one. Hurt a little bit. I mean, I'm kind of Shishi is kind of becoming a favorite. I mean, definitely, just given that you can see the development and all the stuff, and this one hurt a little, I think.
Yeah, but it was a good match.
Yeah.
So that was interesting. Asakoryu beat Toki Hayate, 2 of our up-and-comers facing each other there.
Yeah.
And again, Asakoryu looking good, 2-2 after day 4. Onokatsu stays perfect, beating
Shananoumi.
Shonanoumi.
Dang it.
Hokuto Fuji and his very short hair going to 1-3. He was this the day that he went off? One of the days in his loss, he went off the dohyo and just landed right on his knees. It looked so painful.
Do you remember? I'm not sure which day this was, and maybe you won't recall. It's because so much was going on. But there was one where somebody flipped out into the audience and kicked someone in the face that was in the audience. It was quite dramatic. But I need to go back and rewatch. But no, that was something else.
Yeah, but having a tough time there. Who else? What do we got going on here? Again, we hit these middle ones.
It was the middling crew. Yeah.
Mitakeumi did a really good job against Midori Fuji.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that bout. Sadly, when we get to day 6, we don't have good news about Mitakeumi.
Yeah.
Takanosho stays undefeated. Atami Fuji stays undefeated, beating Tobizaru.
It's
And
exciting. I mean,
it
that's
was
yeah.
a good match.
Yeah. Now, here's a question though. Does given Atamafuji's performance, are things going to get more difficult moving forward for him at that, like, is he going to be facing
I
tougher?
mean, he's ranked at Maegashira 3.
Yeah.
So if he's doing well, he's going to have to face those other guys, but there's a pretty good chance. He's in the section that is usually called the Joy. These are the people who, in theory, might have to face a Yokozuna during
Yeah.
the scheduling. So he's already scheduled to fight
So
most,
he's there
if not
anyway.
all, of the top guys.
Got you.
Just the better he does, the better the chances he'll have to fight all of them.
Yeah. Yeah. And does that count too for folks like Onokatsu and okay, yeah, interesting.
Well, I mean, Onokatsu's way down. He's ranked at the bottom. So if he continues to do well, and it isn't until the second week, right? It's not until about day 10 that they start pulling them up usually.
Yeah.
If Onokatsu gets through the middle weekend with a very good score,
and
we still have 2 more days to look at here. They will probably start to bump him up. Right now, we see him there. All of his matches have been in those first 5 of the day.
Yeah.
Right. They will start to bump him up. You'll see he will probably bump up to somewhere around match 8 or 9, and he'll be facing people who are a bit higher than him in the ranking. And if by about day 10 he's still doing that well, then they'll start bumping him up even more to give him matches against the guys closer to the. He's starting to get guys who are in the Joy. So yes, does that answer your question?
It does indeed. It does. Yeah. And then it's just another element, another kind of layer of this that I'm sort of sniffing around and picking up on. Yeah.
There we look at match 16. We had Shodai and Hiradomi, 2 of the guys who neither of them had a win yet.
Yeah, that's right.
But Shodai came out. I don't remember this. He came out and he looked awesome.
It definitely was a moment where I was like, okay, this is the one bout of the Basho where you get to see a Shodai doing what it did make. Yeah, if you did that all the time.
Yeah, it made me hopeful, which is why I hate him. Is he makes me hopeful?
That's right,
and
then dashes your hopes. Yeah.
Well, speaking of which, did you know that yesterday was the anniversary of the first Lucy Pulls the Football Out from Charlie Brown strip?
No, I did not know that. Yeah. Yes, that's a trick Shodai knows quite well.
Shodai Van Pelt.
Yeah.
Wakamoto Haru continues on. Onosato loses to Abi.
Yeah.
That's his first loss.
Now, just to back up one to the Karishima Wakamoto Haru.
Oh, God. Yeah.
I just was, the disappointment in Karishima was so.
Yeah.
As somebody who is watching this all kind of, as a, to learn it was a real disappointment that seemed to be like, just shamed in some way. Even the announcers were like,
again, that was a match where he was not. Wakamoto Haru didn't beat him.
Yeah.
Kirishima kind of looked like he just didn't. He didn't have a winning strategy. It's like he was fighting for a tie.
Yes, that's okay. That was what was interesting. Is the way that they. Yeah, I could feel the disappointment in. I'll say this as well as watching the matches. Gives you a better sense of when I would hear people talk about sort of the good or bad sumo or fighting spirit or that kind of stuff, like you can really see like if a person comes all in or if they're like just kind of phoning it in, and Karishima was definitely anyway,
I think I think one of the big things that big additions you're getting from watching this, besides being able to hear what the announcers are saying, because uh, um, Kintamiyama uses a lot of the NHK English
Yeah.
audio, which is good for us learning about sumo.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but on top of that, hearing the audience, that's one of the things I always felt was missing when we were doing our videos. Without being able to get the audio in there, there's a lot you get from how the audience reacts. Like,
It's very interesting.
you would notice, because they'd clap when something, it would get to the right, uh, uh, a good pausing point,
It's
or
a visual indicator of something that was going on. Yeah. Yeah.
but you can hear it so much. It's a
Yeah.
palpable part of the sport.
It truly is. At times when I would even get just the, hearing the crowd and seeing the moment,
Yeah,
it almost made the hairs on my arm stand. Like it was just a
yeah,
very interesting, electric moment. But there, the disappointment also, and when you see the fans that
right,
are still there, they're just like the ride or die fans with their little. The
yeah.
little flags, they're holding it up, even looking like they're going to use it to dab the tears in their eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
And you can hear, and I know I used to talk about this sometimes, but when someone does something they don't like, or like you say, when Kirishima loses that match, and you can hear and feel the disappointment in the audience.
yeah.
Like
It's
when Abi would win by a Henka on those things.
oh
When
yeah,
you if
yeah.
we when we get somewhere in this tournament, a match like that is going to happen, and I think that you are really going to appreciate that
That extra
clear
attendee, yeah,
feeling from the audience that,
yeah,
well, we don't approve of that.
yeah. No, I absolutely looking forward to it though, yeah. And it does give me chills just in that it really underscores, what's at stake and how much. One thing I didn't, in looking at these bouts through the eyes of your curating, which is flawless.
Right,
Watching that stuff is great, but I know, I mean, really, you do a really good job of kind of pulling out the matches that matter, but you miss the real down beats,
right,
the real, and it lends some texture that makes it a little more you feel the risk, you
right.
feel that, it's definitely it's an interesting discovery, and it makes things a little more intense, I think. Yeah.
Hey, speaking of the curating, I want to
Yeah.
take this chance to tell everyone, if you look at each of the daily postings I'm doing
Yeah.
the
Facebook
on the
group.
Facebook group,
Yeah.
I'll have a link to the video, but I'm still making my Google Doc of the matches that I would
Right.
have used to curate a show.
That's right.
Um,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so I'm putting them up there with time signatures. Occasionally, I'm putting a little side note about why. Usually not, but sometimes I will, because particularly if it's not clear. Like, why should I care? It's a pretty average match. Why should I care? Oh,
Yeah.
it's this guy's 100th victory or his first match, whatever. But I'll continue to do that, and you can. Uh, they have the links to the videos. So I suggest, as Troy is saying, you should enjoy the whole 15 minutes. But if
Yeah.
you
Why not?
don't have that, there's still the curated version there for you to have.
Yeah. That's great, and it's good stuff.
Um, yes. So Onosato lost to Abi with a knucklehead move.
Yeah.
But he's young, right? It's sometimes easy to forget, given how well he has done in these first 9 tournaments, how young he is and how much he still has to learn.
Yeah. Yeah. Abi did seem to have the key to that lock. Yeah.
Um, I basically I think he's let Abi has beaten him, mm, maybe every time they've met, or all but one time they've met. He's got into his head,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's what Onosato has. I was surprised to see that he fell for it. Like, he Abi got in his head, and what Onosato needs to do is just going to say, you know what? No, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to do the smart thing.
Yeah.
But he got suckered in on that one. and left himself. When it looked like he was going to do it, and he rushed forward again. That Charlie Brown reference, same one. He went to get it, and Abi was just like, "Nope, not this
Yeah,
time, buddy."
that's right. Yeah, yeah.
Hoshoryu and Uda, boy,
That seemed personal again. I think these guys have a thing. I think that Hoshoryu does not like
yeah.
Ura, and it seems like there's a real anger there between those two.
I
And
think Hoshoryu. I mean, Hoshoryu prides himself on being such a technician, and Uda just you can't he doesn't do anything the standard way,
yeah,
so that makes it tough on a technician. And Uda almost had him,
yeah. I think that's
right?
probably it's rare to see Ura so he just did not. He looked furious.
One of I remember the English commentary was um, talking about this and saying that he pulled out a well Hoshoryu had him in a tough position. He had him with his head down,
Yeah,
and a- and Uda tried to pull one of those where you slip even deeper and then push back and use your back to try and throw him. And the thing was that he did it successfully, but because they were in the center of the ring, it didn't
give
throw
him.
Hoshoryu far enough to finish the match. And
Yeah,
then Uda is just kind of standing there in a position that's primed to get thrown down, right? Uh, so I think that one of the things that bugs Hoshoryu, even in that win, is that Uda did it right. If they'd been closer to the Tawada, if they'd been closer to the ring's edge, Uda would have beaten him with that move.
yeah, yeah.
Um, but like we were saying earlier, part of the key to winning a tournament and doing this is to get a little lucky sometimes. And I think
Right.
Hoshoryu uh, fought a great match and for sure won the match, but he got a little lucky.
Hmm.
All right, so that brings us to day 5. At the end of day 4, we're down to just 4 undefeateds,
Right.
and the only one loss is now just in this column, that very first column, and our number of winless is dropping, though Kirishima and Hiradomi are still there.
Yeah, they're
Uh,
still. Yeah,
Kirishima 0-4, 0-4.
that's just it's shocking.
Yeah. But we got Hoshoryu, Atami Fuji, Takanosho, and Onokatsu. Looking good. So this is what happened on day 5.
Ugh, this day.
Oh, you know what? Wait, before we do that, I want to say I mentioned the my clip sheet.
Yeah.
One of the things that that Kintamiyama does in his videos is he will pull the I'm sorry, I really should have organized this thought better. NHK during the full broadcast, they like to celebrate the tournament 10 years ago. They
Yeah.
show clips from the tournament 10 years ago. And there have been some really good 10 years ago clips. And on day 5 there was a clip of uh Maegashira 3 Terano Fuji, or
Mm,
Yokozuna, when he was coming up on his push for his first Ozeki promotion back then, against Kisuna Sato, who is the coach, Ono Sato's coach, former Ozeki, former Yokozuna Kisuna Sato, and that was oh my god, was that a good match? So I added that on the list of things to
nice.
watch.
Have to check it out.
Day 5, again, Kintamayama will put things that are not from the top division in if there are good lower card bouts.
Yeah.
And the best match of this day 5, bar none, was a Jurio match between Aonishiki and Oshomo. Aonishiki is another Ukrainian Rikishi.
Yeah.
He's the other guy who's come in and seems to be, if he continues to do well, we might have him hit the top division sometime next year. But oh my God, was that a good match between Aonishiki and Oshoumi? So yeah, go check that one out too.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So day 5.
This is this is where things just got a little personal for me.
Okay, why is that? What happened?
It was just really. I mean, let's go through from the. I mean, because I'm talking about the Hoshoryu Wakataka Kage. That was just it. Wakataka Kage is not a small man.
He's not he is a relatively small. He's
Well, I
built
mean,
he's built like a weightlifter though.
yes, yeah. I mean, he's clearly he's got some weight to him as far as just I mean, but Hoshoryu seemed to sort of defy gravity and toss him out of the ring like
that was that flip. Yeah, that was a heck of a.
Yeah, it was something that you were like, I was like, yes, for sure. No, not Wakataka. So it's just it was a struggle for me, but yeah.
That was Wakataka Kage. Did you choose him? Because almost everyone in our game, in our Fantasy Oyakata game, in that top upper Maegashira, everyone but one person picked Wakataka Kage.
Yeah. No, I was in that group. I'm in that cluster of people who are like, "Yay, Hoshoryu, boo!" know. So, yeah. But good sumo though. Wow.
Yes. I'm trying to remember what the Wakataka Kage drove him backwards.
Yeah.
And then he was able to turn it around and then make that throw, that over the hip throw. Which Murray Johnson, the English announcer, was pointing out that part of the reason that looked so spectacular is because Wakataka Kage is a nimble guy, and they add that extra flip so they land better.
Yeah,
right. Because if you notice, he just landed on his butt.
Yeah.
He didn't get rolled or hit on his hip or shoulder.
That's fascinating. I didn't really even think about that, but that's part of the being such a great rishi is that he knows how to fall. And
right. Once you're losing, okay, well, I'm gonna fall. I need to make sure I land well.
Yeah. So okay, gotcha.
So the reason that it had that, it was a huge, just like a karate movie. It's like a kung fu movie flip. He flipped into the big legs spinning in the air, and
honestly,
he did that so that he could land right on his tush.
Very interesting. Okay, well that is so it was great sumo nonetheless, and it was quite a spectacular move. But that's interesting. I never really thought about skill as it relates to also not hurting yourself as you're losing.
I mean, I know that to an extent. It didn't really strike me until, like I say, until Murray said it on the air, and I watched the replay. And I'm like, oh yeah, no, Wakataka Kage definitely gave a good hip twist to make sure that happened.
Yeah,
after it was clear he was going down.
And what a move, though. I mean, I just, it was an unexpected, and again, when these guys get to the edge of the ring, they somehow become, otherworldly and weightless using their powers of levitation, to the end. But yeah, that was spectacular.
And I say that to take nothing. Hoshoryu made a great move.
Oh, certainly. Yeah.
Right? I don't want to, by playing up what Wakataka Kage did, is in no way to lessen Hoshoryu's move to win that. It was
but that Hoshoryu freight train is just it's running.
Onosato beat Atami Fuji and beat him pretty soundly after suffering a loss. He came back and looked really good on day 5. I don't know if you remember that he pinned Atami Fuji's right arm up so that he couldn't do anything with it, and then because the Tachiai, Atami Fuji got the better of him at the Tachiai, but they got in close, and Onosato managed to put him in a position where it kind of denied half of his body, and that's the kind of thing you see, and I think you're probably recognizing more readily now, where these these little moves of where you decide to grab the belt or
Mm-hmm.
grab the other guy's wrist suddenly take out. It looks like such a simple little thing, but what it does is say, okay, well, his half of his arsenal is useless until he can bring it for
Right. Yeah. You know, Onosato is it's fascinating to watch. And it seems like and maybe I'm reading too much into it, or I'm just sort of seeing what I want to see. But he seems like a real tech, like he's just got a surgical kind of
Yeah. Well, I
system.
mean, they say he's doing this great, and he was so good in amateur sumo.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, juxtaposed against, say, like Shishi, like when you just kind of compare, like Shishi still looks like he's grown into his paws, and
right.
Ono Santo looks like just like he's doing surgical moves.
Yeah,
It's yeah,
he's he's got that. What
yeah,
he's learning is how to deal with other people who also have that.
yeah, very interesting. Yeah, okay, sure. I see that.
Let's see what else we have going on here. Um, Takanosho stays 5-0, doing really good, looking
Yeah,
really good. Um, Abi's 4-1. Hiradomi finally gets a win.
right,
Um,
my boy,
your boy, which boy?
Tobizaru.
Tobizaru, yeah, 3-2.
I mean, he won. I'm just
Yeah,
saying. Yeah, good
yeah.
for him.
I have him. He's on the list of the matches that I picked for this day.
Yeah,
So yeah, it was a good one. Kirishima loses again.
yeah,
Yeah, and looked equally ho hum doing it.
yeah,
So 0-5. So we always talk about that. This kind of you measure the tournament in thirds, how you're doing
mm-hmm,
after 5 days
yeah.
and 10 days, and then the 15 days. Well, after 5 days, Kirishima is 0-5.
And just did he seem like he accidentally wandered into the ring? Like it sort of seemed like he might have been on the way to the place, where they take naps or something. And
Yeah,
it
I don't
was
know. Like I say, all tournament, I've been looking at him and saying that he just doesn't look but he's got a plan to win. He's just got a plan to do well, and that I mean, part of that is my sports history that I'm bringing and overlaying on other
yeah,
people. Right? I was in my youth. I was a very good tennis player, but
yeah,
I was just I was good in that I trained well and I could hit the ball well. But when you get in a match, I didn't have winning plans. I just went to play well,
yeah,
and I lost to a lot of people who were not as technically good as me because they came to play to win.
yeah, yeah. Oh, hey, am I to recall Takanosho? This was his birthday.
Was it?
I think it was.
Could be.
I think that I think that the day 5 was his birth. I believe. I could be wrong.
Yeah,
Let me pull that up.
could
Uh,
well be.
yeah, 30th birthday,
Happy
Takanosho.
birthday,
Yeah,
Takanosho, five and
there you
zero.
go. Yeah,
Happy birthday to you.
yeah, doing it.
Um, Mitakeumi beat Endo in a pretty good match, which is one to remember because on day 6, things do not go well for Mitakeumi. Um, yeah, looking good, looking good.
Looking
I
real good.
can't
Yeah,
remember any of the other
I can't either.
things from this
I'm
day.
looking at my notes, and I think
Yeah,
I was ready for.
Kotozakura. So we were talking about how Hoshoryu and Ura had that kind of grudge match thing that always goes on, and Ura gave him a big run for his money. Kotozakura just smothered him.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. I have a note here about the Gonoyama Ichi Yamamoto, and I've written slap, slap, slap. So
There was a lot of slapping going on in that fight.
That's right. Yeah, just as to be true to my past self, who thought that there was something to be mentioned about that slap fight. But
Well, I mean, I'm sure if we were watching it, it would be. But yeah, there's no. So you know what? Slap, slap, slap,
yeah, slap, slap,
slap.
slap is what I've written. Awesome.
Um, all right, so let's just go. This is what it looked like at the end of the day. Uh, we're down to. I'm looking here at the bottom. Nishikigi's doing terrible. Bushozan's doing terrible, and Kanishima is doing terrible.
Just terrible. Yeah.
0-5. Man.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, Uda at 1-4, and Maegashira 2 is just a little too high for him. And he's got to fight those guys near the top early on. And yeah. I tell you, one of the things I always say about Komusubi and Maegashira 1 is if you can end week 1 with 1 or 2 wins, you're doing okay because that's how tough your first week is.
Yeah.
But you need to follow it up with a completely dominant week 2. And I look at Shodai at 1-4, and I think I have no confidence he's going to be dominant in week 2.
Yeah.
And I look at Hiradomi and Ura at 1-4 and think, yeah, they
They
could
might have a chance. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. For sure. But also, this is right about where Shodai will bounce a little bit up.
sometimes.
We're going to write him off and say, well, I won't have to talk about him anymore. And then he bubbles up to the top. And you're like, what are you doing here? How did you get here?
Right. And then in the last 3 days, he goes in the tank completely.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. That's
Shodai.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're down to 3 undefeateds going into day 6.
Yeah.
Hotomyu, Takanosho, and Onokatsu. Freaking Onokatsu.
Yeah.
Last tournament, he couldn't do this. He couldn't do this last tournament, Onokatsu. You'd have won it for me. I'd have beaten Troy.
I know. And he's not, I don't think
And no one chose him this time because he was so, and we'll see that when we go to our Fantasy Oyakata.
I'm just
no one picked Onokatsu because we all got burned last time.
Yeah. He wasn't on my list, which was great, but
yeah. So we're down, and only 6 people with only 1 loss.
Mm-hmm.
So it's starting to shape up a little, and all 3 Ozeki are in there.
Yeah,
that's looking good. That's what we want. We want our Ozeki to be in the mix. No one else from the Sanyaku's there, but Daisho and Wakamoto Haru are hanging out at the bottom. One win off the, and Wakataka Kage too.
Yeah.
And Tobizaru. So yeah, those 3 lost people right now are in fine shape, right?
To bounce it back up. Yeah.
To still be in it if they can keep winning. But again, this is that thing we talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Once you have those 2 losses, your margin of error drops.
Yeah.
Every other loss you have puts you significantly, worse off in the hunt for the tournament championship.
Yeah.
All right. So then day 6. Here's what happened on day 6. So Onokatsu wins with here. Second tournament, second match there.
Yes.
The Kaio is the guy who came up from Jurio that day. So he's going to go into the middle weekend 6-0. Pretty dang good. Takeru Fuji is 4-2. So we haven't talked about him much.
Yeah.
He's looked pretty good. The thing that, and remember in March when he won the tournament, he was just blowing everyone off in line, right? Come off the Tachi with the huge hits and lots of pushing and thrusting and dominating everyone. And he hasn't done that every bout so far. It seems like he is mixing in some other styles into his sumo. So remember, I had been saying for him career-wise, the question was how quickly people figured out how to deal with that. If that's what he's going to do every time.
Yeah. Yeah.
then that can be a weakness,
Comes to a
particularly
liability
against
for him.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
against the top guys. So I've been curious to watch, even here, fighting guys who he should be beating, we assume, uh, and is doing pretty good against them. He's not. He's mixing it up.
Yeah.
What style of fight he's fighting, and I think that might just be a deliberate choice to develop those skills more, so that you know as he goes up, he's willing to take his time.
I was gonna say, willing to make that, willing to
Yeah,
get the loss as he's perfecting his moves
yeah.
and his his arsenal,
I
his toolkit.
remember when he hurt his leg. Some of the quotes he gave to the press were that if he needs surgery, he'll get the surgery. He doesn't care if he drops down in the short term. He's worried about the long term.
That's smart. Yeah, I mean that
And
is really really smart. I mean, we've also seen people who have thrown it all out and just went,
yeah,
all in when they probably should have had
yeah,
that surgery
yeah.
or done that thing. Yeah, yeah.
So it could just be me making up a good storyline, but
Mm,
but maybe not.
yeah,
But there's
yeah.
there's no proof of it. But I look at the way he's fighting this, and I see him uh, um,
Develop.
broadening
Yeah,
his style so that you can't know for sure what he's going to do,
yeah.
and that is going to as well. First of all, as those skills improve, that gives him more weapons to use, but it also makes his big bull rush even more effective because
Don't know when it's yeah.
you may not be ready for it.
It's not the thing, the
Yeah,
only thing. Yeah, yeah.
and even if he does it, you aren't set in. Like that's the other thing that could lessen its effectiveness is if the opponent knows it's there, um, they're not ready for
Right, right.
it. So what else have we got going on here?
I gotta
Ichiyamamoto
say,
is born too.
yeah, I know we've got these folks here, but there's a couple things that dominated my brain.
Yeah,
I'll talk about the one that is not such a bummer, but it's Ura is just
yeah,
just good sumo. I just
yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's tempting to kind of refer to him almost as a personality hire or something, but he really did a great. That was good to watch. It was fun.
Yep, yep. Shodai beat Wakamoto Haru,
And
which
there
was
he
a
is.
good surprise.
Boop,
Yeah,
doing that
and
thing
he
that he
came in and
does.
looked really good doing it.
Yeah, yeah. You know what? Maybe they're twins.
Good
Maybe there's like two of them.
Shodai, bad Shodai.
Yeah, yeah. And every once in a while, the other twin comes out because the other one's, I don't know, has to go,
Yeah,
work his other job or something, or who knows. But it's almost the
I
dichotomy
couldn't get
is,
Friday off. Oh, it's all right. I'll do it.
I'm on it.
The bad news here
Mm,
was in match number 13 with Mitakeumi and Kota Shoho,
yeah.
where Mitakeumi won the match, but he went off the dohyo. They both went off the dohyo to do it, and he landed so hard
Yeah.
on his arm, on his shoulder.
Oh,
We know that he's had shoulder problems. That's one of the things that dropped him out of the Sanyaku were those shoulder problems. And it was so bad that he had to be stretchered out of the arena.
he didn't move. It was,
Yeah,
the way you just knowing as we do that these guys push themselves to the ultimate end, like they'll drag themselves up with a bloody nose and
yeah,
hang out, and do the thing and whatever. But that just looked, it
yeah,
was worrying. Yeah.
yeah. So the announcers were saying that this is something they had never seen before. He couldn't go back up to the dohyo to get his to get the announcement of the win and to get his envelopes, and they just carted him off, and the Gyoji had to point his war fan at an empty spot where Mitakeumi was supposed to be because he was the winner.
Yeah.
So
Something. Yeah. Serious.
yeah, it seems exceedingly likely that he's going to be out And
Absolutely. I mean, yeah. I mean, and that's just. Ugh, I hope he didn't break his collarbone or
right.
like
Well,
his.
it seems like he probably, at the very least, dislocated his shoulder. Got to hope he didn't separate, right, uh, the bone, right, do the shoulder separation
Yeah, yeah.
or something like that. I'm just gonna look down here at my phone at the app and see if it's been announced yet. Um, Kyucho Rikshi as of day 7. Exit from day 7? No, not yet.
Huh.
Um, Now that doesn't, very often they don't say anything until the matches come up, until they're prepping for the top division. Um, but yeah, I do not expect him to be back in. And like you say, I really hope that he's okay. That this is not something that's going to require surgery.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and a broken collarbone is
Yeah,
just not. I mean, that's horrible.
yeah.
Yeah, real bummer. A real bummer.
Another bummer. He got up to the Shode match number 17. Kirishima finally gets a win,
And yeah.
and after the win, he had to step out of the ring. He was leaning forward. He stepped and he rolled his ankle.
Oh, it didn't look
Just like
good.
miserable, having done that. Just flinch watching
Just
that.
the bad luck. It just felt
Yeah.
like a real, real bummer.
So he was able to leave. Although I don't know if you watched carefully at the end when he was receiving his envelopes. He was very careful how he was bending down.
I thought, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely, yeah.
So I don't know. I'm I'm expecting we may see him pull out too. That also hasn't been announced yet. But even if he doesn't, and at 1-5 and the troubles he's having, if he's going to be running on a sore ankle,
It doesn't bode well for a
right.
blazing comeback. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, not only right, he still needs to get a Kachikoshi to maintain his rank, and he still has a shot at, well, at 5 losses. He's got a very narrow shot at getting double-digit wins. But he'd done well enough that just getting 9 wins would keep him theoretically
In the mix.
the mix for that Yokozuna or Ozeki promotion in sometime in early next year. But if he only gets 8 wins, or if he's Makekoshi, then he's going to have to start from scratch. And if he has to pull out, and he's gone 1-5, and so he will finish with a 1-5-9. He's going to drop from Sekiwake to Maegashira 4 or lower.
Yeah.
And he's going to have to fight his way back again. So
yeah, it did. It just felt like a real. Yeah, it was a bummer. Yeah.
Yep. Hoshoryu though beat Atami Fuji. Looked pretty good doing that. Yeah.
I gotta tell you, it was one that I had to stop and rewind and look, and I didn't see the man pop up to say, like there was. It just seemed
that was the biggest. So for those of you who haven't watched it, Atami Fuji basically maneuvered himself to win, but his big toe went out of the ring while Hoshoryu was getting thrown backwards.
Yeah.
And I think Hoshoryu reaps the benefits of the Ozeki bump, because there's no way that shouldn't have been a Tori Naoshi, a fight it again.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
I anticipated it would be.
He was flying backwards.
Yeah, he was on his way out the door. But
and it was just a big toe scooped up some sand, and there's no doubting it. But
Yeah, it was definitely one to watch, and it was a moment where I did feel like it was somebody would say, even though it felt like it was something that was going to be challenged.
Yeah.
But not so much.
There's another one today where it was a mono-e, and I think someone got rooked. I don't remember who it was now. The
Was
guy
it
who got the win clearly stepped out.
was it Takayasu? Wait, hold on.
Oh yes, it was a Takayasu.
Yeah,
Meisei Takayasu definitely his foot landed before Meisei went out. The the slow mo showed that. I mean, Takayasu had beaten him, so I don't think they should have reversed it, but Meisei got a little rook that they didn't give a Tori Naoshi on that.
yeah. Yeah, it did send me down the what are the rules and how do we follow them, and all of that stuff, and it's just always interesting to me when it's just one of those moments in sports where
Yeah.
you see an unfair thing that on reflection is clear, but at the time was a bad judgment, and you just kind of wonder about how does the winner feel, all those things kind of come into play, but it's just one of those things.
Yep. Yep. And as anyone that's in this kind of sports, right? In the moment, you're hot and bothered about it, but once it's done,
It's done. It's baked
that's
in.
sport.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
I've gotten a few of those, and I've lost a few of those, and I'm
yeah.
mad, but sumo
Can't let
goes
it
on.
eat you up. Yeah, the sumo. Yeah, right.
And then Onosato lost for the second time to Wakataka
Yeah,
Kage in a Musubi
yeah,
no Ichiban, and he just made a boneheaded move to do that. Like he tried to slap him down out of nowhere. Wakataka Kage stood up at the Tachiai, and despite the fact that Onosato is a lot bigger than he was, he fought him to a standstill at the initial charge, or even maybe had a little bit of an advantage. And Onosato was not getting immediate forward movement, which is what he wants and gets in most of his matches.
yeah,
And so he tried to do a slap down that kind of step backwards and pull him down. And Wakataka Kage's just too, his balance was too good. His feet were set right. And he just was ready to drive forward. And Onosato was out of the ring before he knew what was going on. And it was his own fault.
yeah. Yep.
I don't know if you go and watch that again, you don't get to see his face, but the camera is squarely on his back as it finishes, and he puts his hands on his hips and he shakes his head.
I think yeah.
That
Yeah,
is
I do
is
recall.
very telling that match ended, and he was like, "Wow, should I not have done that?"
Right. Yeah.
So this is the standings leaving day 6, going into the middle weekend. We got Hoshoryu and Onokatsu undefeated, just
Yeah.
2 of them, and only 4 guys with 1 loss.
I know.
So, and one of them is Mitakeumi, who
I just honestly, it is a real bummer, and again, not to put too fine a point on it, but I've never seen somebody taken out, a Rikshi taken out of the matches on a
right. Well, I didn't put those in the curated list very often.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen.
Okay.
Doesn't happen every tournament.
Yeah.
And usually when they have to get taken out, it's in a wheelchair. They've got this big,
Okay.
wheelchair. But every once in a while, you get someone who's hurt so badly that they've got to get stretchered out.
Oh gosh, yeah. I'm hoping that is not the.
Yeah.
Well, there's
The
something
one
else.
thing I'm going to miss about this new format a lot is I've still picked bouts of the day for every day, and we can't possibly watch any of them.
That's such a miss. Shoot. Yeah, I definitely should be. I'm glad that you're curating, and I think I'm gonna at least check out the bouts of the day because it's
Yeah.
always so fun and always such a or infuriating or like one of those
Right. One,
things.
and even more so because you will have seen them once, and you can come back and go, "Yeah, I remember that. That was a
Yeah,
really good match."
yeah. No, I'll check that. That's a good thing to add to my repertoire, and you as well. Watcher, listener, to check those out, and you'll provide that link on the Facebook group, right?
Yes, every day it's part of my posting is a link to
Nice.
my clip sheet, is what I'm calling
Yeah. Now, I feel like I'm missing something. Looking through my notes, it is on this day 6. There was seemed to be a little controversy, as they say in the UK. But what was it?
it. I
I'm
don't
I'm
know what,
I'm losing it. I'm
but it's it's a long show.
What's it been? Well, no, the show is fine. There's just a lot of sumo. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
a whole heck of a lot of sumo, and so yeah. While I'm certainly e- excited that that to watch and it's a new experience. It's a more intense experience.
yeah,
There's just a lot of it,
yeah.
that's for sure. And I need to take better notes. Is what I'm. Was there a henka?
There was a Henka. Um,
Why didn't I write down who did it?
I don't remember.
Yeah, so I can't remember either, but it seemed like something I wanted to bring up, and I did not take complete
There was a
notes.
Henka, but it didn't work.
Yeah, yeah,
There was, and it might have even been. Was it
it
the
wasn't
Kirishima
Tokusawa.
Hiradomi match? Seemed like they both went to the left to start.
Yeah, they both tried to henka,
They
and
both, they both. I mean, it wasn't a full on Henka, but they both kind of veered to the left. But since they were both going to the left, that means they missed each other.
yeah, no, I don't. I might have to go back and look, and then I'll
Yeah.
come back and say, oh, it was this person, and how dare they? But yeah, yeah, interesting, really great
Oh, there
stuff.
were also on the day 6. There were also two really good flashback matches. They had
Oh
like
yeah,
they showed 3 flashback matches, and one of them was Ichinojo, a young Ichinojo,
hmm
and Yokozuna Kakuryu in the 2.5 minute match that was just full of
epic.
raw. Whoa, I'm gonna beat you.
Right, right.
And then Hakuho and Takayasu, a young
Ah.
Takayasu, who this was the first time the ninth time they met, and the first time that Takayasu beat him.
Mm.
So
Yeah, I might have to go back
that's
and look. I will be honest. The flashback ones, I'm just like, okay, I don't have the brain for
right,
this.
right. But and I'm really enjoying them. You know what? Beginning January, the
Huh.
flashbacks are going to be tournaments I watched.
Oh, hey, nice.
Right? We're
Okay.
now 2015 is when I refound the sumo on YouTube. So I we've talked about this before, right? I for a long time I wanted to follow it and I tried to keep up on it, but I couldn't find anywhere that I could.
Yeah, it
And
was
it
a
was in
different time. Yeah, yeah.
2015 that I discovered some of the people on YouTube uh, who are doing these roundups, and I was able to watch all the matches.
Nice. Okay, so an anniversary of sorts.
So yes, yeah,
Yeah,
no, and it was the January match in 2015 was a very important match. We'll talk about that
yeah.
in
Well,
January.
it's also the anniversary of the Sumo Show. We will have been
Yeah.
for 50 years. We will have been.
50 years of Sumo Show. It's crazy.
It's wild, wild.
Um,
But yeah, we were so young.
so yes. Which means that I'm gonna have to fiddle with things here on my desktop for a second.
Sure.
We have we're going to the middle weekend here. There's going to be a lot of marquee matches. They like because there's bigger uh, TV audience. You get a lot of named guys fighting each other. So
Yeah.
it's a good time to start watching them. I will continue to post each day with a link to Kintamiyama's videos and my little write up about
Yeah.
what's going on, and a link to my curated notes to my clip sheets. So it's a good time to check in.
To dive in, yeah, and a great way to maybe to kind of check out some of the other stuff if it's still.
I think we're gonna see. Hoshoryu and Onokatsu probably will get bumped up at least a little for these because he's one of the leaders. He'll get some fights. I would bet maybe Ryuden is one of the people to put him against.
Yeah,
and because he's Maegashira 13, they might give him his match against what's his name? I'm blanking on his name right now.
That guy.
Takeru Fuji.
Okay.
Who's ranked low enough to be a reasonable regular match for him, but he's a big name, right?
Yeah.
So I think that it's very likely we'll see Onokatsu and Takeru Fuji fight each other over the middle weekend.
Yeah, and so for folks who are this is the assignment is for folks to keep an eye on Stan's posts and check out his links and kind of follow along, and because we'll be back on the 22nd.
We'll be back on Friday.
Yeah, days 7 through 13, and we'll have a lot to discuss.
We will, but before we go, we're not going yet.
Not yet.
Because it's time for me to switch.
To what? To this? No? No. Right. Can you believe I was so deeply
I can't believe that you forgot that we've got to look at Mr.
My psyche, my subconscious was like, just forget that part.
Fantasy Oyakata.
Let's see how we do. Right. Now, we did post to Reddit, and I want to thank everybody who checked that out. And
we got a bunch of new people this time. We got 11 people competing.
Yeah, it's great. It was great.
All right. So the best possible score is 24. And that's if you had Hoshoryu at 6-0 in your champion level. And either Daisho or Wakamoto Haru. Sanyaku level, best you can get is 3-3 out of the Sanyaku.
Yeah.
Upper Maegashira, we had 4 guys: Wakataka Kage, Abi, Atami Fuji, and Tobizaru. All I
should have just went with my faves. I should have said, I'm just going to do my faves, but I did not.
Yeah. In middle Maegashira, and in upper Maegashira, everyone but one, not everyone, almost everyone picked Wakataka Kage.
Yeah.
Very popular choice there. Middle Maegashira, 3 guys: Takanosho, Mitakeumi, and Gonoyama.
Trying to remember.
Are 5-1.
Yeah.
Mitakeumi, he's not gonna last.
That's that tough one. Yeah.
Very sad. And then in the lower Maegashira, we got Onokatsu, who everyone chose last time, who I picked last time. Will be 6-0 this time.
And you had the same voice when you were talking about him last time.
Yeah, I know. I know. He can't win. Whether he's winning or losing, I still am got that pained voice. All right, so here are where things stand. Down at the bottom here, look at you. You're the winner. Why are you so... You won last time. Look, here's your name here. Troy Hewitt, 3rd on the list of all-time champs.
So excited to have made that list at least once.
All right, here we go. New guy, a Green Knight at Kamen Rider, 15 points. Which is exactly split. 15 wins and 15 losses.
Yeah.
Got Daisho, Onosato, Daisho, Wakataka Kage, Endo, and Hokuto Fuji. And Hokuto Fuji. Hokuto Fuji at 1-5, not doing him any favors.
Not helping him out, yeah.
All right. Above that, we have Gummy at 16.
Welcome to the Fantasy Oyakata.
With Onokatsu, Kirishima. Kirishima is not doing any favors. Wakataka Kage, I tell you, everyone picked Wakataka Kage.
That's right, yeah.
Takayasu, 3-3. And Takeru Fuji, good choice there. Looking pretty good. All right. Above that, we have also at 16, Skeeter.
Skeeter. Yeah, maybe Skeeter.
Sky Yip. So
Sky.
that's why I'm guessing it's Skeeter. I don't know.
Yeah.
Onosato, Shodai, Wakataka Kage,
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
Takata Fuji, and Ryuden. Interesting choices.
Yeah, interesting choices.
All right, above that we have
Who could it be?
Alex Stevens.
Oh, it's not me.
Space
Space Wolf. Okay.
With Onosato, Daisho, Wakataka Kage, Midori Fuji. This middle Maegashira, we got a lot of variation.
Yeah, it looks like a mix.
And Meisei. And lower Maegashira too, but we'll see. That doesn't hold up. Number 8. Who's number 8?
Who is number 8?
Marvelous.
Hey,
Number 8.
Coming back
strong. Also 17 points.
Yeah. Yep. Marvelous had made a comment on Facebook, like, I did it and I think I've done it. You know,
yeah. He also made a comment on Facebook, like, yeah, Kirishima, I can't believe I picked him. Kirishima, Wakataka Kage, Ichi Yamamoto. And I think it's funny that we've got 4 guys here that could be just the same, but everyone's got Wakataka Kage.
Yeah.
Ichi Yamamoto, good choice there. And Takeru Fuji, good choice there.
All right.
Above Marvelous, we have Troy Hewitt.
Is it me? Yeah.
18 points. 18 points.
The Sumo no again.
Sumo not again.
Yeah.
You pick these names that even you can't say.
I'm just, 7 isn't, it's fine. It's fine.
Onosato, Wakamoto Haru.
I picked Oho.
You picked Oho.
It was me that did okay.
I
was getting my Wakas confused with my Ohos, and yeah.
I think you were the only person that didn't pick Wakataka Kage. Takanosho, good choice there. And Takeru Fuji.
All right.
That's a solid grouping.
Yeah.
Number 6, we have Biggie Robs.
Okay.
Tied with you.
Okay.
I don't know at this point what the separation is, because these are all by letting the data sorter put them in order. So I don't know why he's above you. I don't think there's any actual difference.
It might be
right. You both are 18 wins and 12 losses. So
yeah, I think alphabetically I fall behind him in the player.
Could be. Yeah. Onosato, Kirishima, Wakataka Kage, Takanosho, and Takeru Fuji. This is a really strong group. Biggie Robs could be in for
some shrubs.
A run at the yusho.
I'm also just I remember agonizing over Oho versus Waka, and I think I did it based on I can't even remember, but anyway,
so you would have been at 19 points if you'd made that change. So switch.
Yeah, maybe I'll go back.
20 points. 20 points.
That would have been something. Yeah.
All right. So let's see. At above there, also at 18.
Oh, hey, look at that.
Lemon.
Okay.
Dave Lemon.
This makes me feel a little bit better. That's
Wakamoto Haru or Onosato, Wakamoto Haru, Wakataka Kage, Takayasu.
Interesting.
Yeah. And Takeru Fuji.
Okay.
All right. Above that, we have.
Who is it?
Me.
Stan.
Me at 19.
Okay.
Kotozakura. And Kirishima. That's gonna kill me.
Oh yeah.
Just imagine if I hadn't Kirishima, if I'd taken any of these others, we had a bunch of 3. Like, just go to 3 and 3. Oh
yeah.
Wakataka Kage, Takanosho, and Takeru Fuji. So Kirishima is going to be my downfall when he pulls out I'm going to be in the same shape I was last tournament.
Yeah.
The only one win from him and nothing else coming. So we'll see. We'll see how that does for me.
Yeah.
So that's me. We still have 2 names left.
Yeah. Okay.
Above me, tied with me, is another newcomer, Ichinoto.
Ichinoto. Okay.
Yeah.
But that's what Tamafuji wishes his name was. Ichinoto. Get
Who
it?
also picked Kotozakura, but he
Okay.
also picked Kirishima. Are we identical? I didn't even notice. No.
Okay.
We are
No.
for the
Yeah.
first 3, right? Kotozakura, Kirishima, Wakataka Kage, Gonoyama, and Takanosho. So I'm feeling pretty confident Takanosho is going to do better. But I'm going to, I think that I've got the edge on Ichinoto.
Okay.
And then we both picked Teruno Fuji. That's the only difference between us is Takanosho and Gonoyama.
Yeah.
And in the lead is another Emma Levithan.
Nice.
The losers.
20 Emma, great job.
20 points.
Yeah.
Koshoryu, so she's got that perfect up
nice
there.
pick. Yeah, I envy that pick. Yeah.
Picked Wakamoto Haru, so it's best Wakataka Kage like everyone else. Best.
Yep.
Takayasu, not best.
Not best. Yeah, not best.
And Takeru Fuji.
Okay, look at that lineup. Yeah.
So it's another strong group. We got a very, very interesting match going on. I think most of the people involved have at least one weak point.
Yeah.
That is going to make it interesting.
I like that block of 18, 19. Emma doing really well. 20.
Yeah,
I feel Emma. A little less sad, but I also, you know what's interesting about this is it's a shift that I've made only recently is that you want to win, but you also don't want any Rikishi to be hurt or, you know what I mean? So it's one of those things where it's a little hard to pick.
Yeah, you know what? You're 1 point off what I'm doing. So
yeah.
So you're doing fine.
I feel
you're right there in the mix.
At least I'm in the mix because I will tell you that until the last Fantasy Oyakata, I was pretty much at the bottom of the pile.
I see down here at the bottom, I have all the old ones, so I can open them up and show you exactly how you did. But I won't do that.
Let's do that. Maybe we reflect on that, towards the end of the Basho.
Yeah, maybe we can do that in one of our production meetings, so you can decide how you do it.
Got it.
All right, so there we go. There's Fantasy Oyakata after 5 days, after 6 days.
Yeah.
Emma Levithan with the losers. The losers are the winners. Are winning. The losers are winning.
Love it.
We've got a very strong match. I do love looking at this, right? How many people picked Onosato?
Yeah.
And it's funny, all the people that picked Onosato are at the bottom of our rankings.
Yeah.
Right? This isn't grouping by that. This is grouped by score.
Right.
Onosato, that's just funny.
It is funny.
And people who pick Kirishima are up at the top.
Yeah.
That's not going to last.
No, but that's interesting. That is, yeah.
Everyone picked Wakataka Kage except
for me. And this
one guy here at number 7.
Why did I do that? Why?
And yeah, Middle Maegashira, this is a really interesting mix. We got a couple of Takayasus, a bunch of Takanoshos, but then
it does feel like what you would pick from the middle. Like the middling group is sort of who knows.
Well, we talked about that last week. This was the one where there wasn't a clear choice, and there's a lot of interesting picks.
Yeah. Yep.
And then here in the lower, a lot of Takeru Fujis, and they're all on top.
Yeah.
No one picked Onokatsu.
No, nobody was ready for that. Everybody was.
Only I'd had faith in him.
Let that be a lesson to you and your and how you think of a Shodai as well.
Yeah, that's right. Onokatsu and Shodai next time for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
What do you think? Should I pull these drums out?
This has been a fun show. This is maybe one
Yeah.
of our longest shows, though. I
Yeah,
think
is it really?
this new format is going to be. I think that doing 6 days at a time, we should be looking at this being about 2 hours.
Yeah, it is. But I will say that for those of you who stuck through the 2 hours, of course, you get the Fighting Spirit Award. But I also say, but I will say this is for me. Honestly, I do this for me, and I really enjoyed today's show. I felt like it was one of the moments where I felt like I had something more to offer than sort of meandering ADHD wandering through the annals of sumo.
I'll be honest, Troy. Today, when I sent you the text,
Yeah,
I was half expecting you to say that you hadn't had the time, that you hadn't.
Yeah, no, I really was important to me to take the time and to do a bit of the work, and it was funny because I was just thinking, oh, I better I have questions for Stan about this, and there are definitely moments there. I do think that at some point we should introduce a moment in the Basho where we do maybe a private viewing or a discussion where we have people join us online, but we don't broadcast it. I think it would be very interesting to see, and I don't know when that moment might be. Maybe we just kind of keep our eyes open for the natural moment when something like that, whether it's the middle weekend or something. But
let's think about that. Maybe think about that as something to add for the January tournament.
I think so, yeah. At some point, whether it's, a kind of to give it a boost or it's an exciting moment just naturally or whatever. But I think that there's a point within the Basho that we should get everyone together and watch. Yeah, be fun. Cool.
All right.
Well, let me get these drums.
All right. Well, let me get my script.
All this time. I love it. Let's see. Here we go.
You have been listening to The Sumo Show, a live podcast about the art, a live podcast about the art and sport of sumo. Your hosts tonight have been Stan Brown and Troy Hewitt.
Hi.
Production by Troy Hewitt. Sumoliering by Stan Brown. And initial charge by Touchy Eye Troy.
Hi.
So until next Friday, the 22nd.